Do you have a dog that you struggle to get focus from out in the world? Well, in today's video, I'm going to teach you a drill that you can do to help your dog choose you over those distractions in real life. But I can tell you one thing, it's not going to start out here. We're going to go inside. I'm Instructor Steve. Welcome back to McCann Dogs. So what do you do if you've got a dog that's trying to go everywhere else but pay attention to you? Well, there's a number of things that we're going to do right now to help Kalani make some different choices in life and understand that all the value and all the good things come not just from the magic bait pouch, but from you, from the person, making sure that you are the most valuable thing in the dog's world. And the first thing I'm going to start with is a little bit of a rule out game. Now, when I talk about the idea of rule out, it's just helping my dog to make choices. I offer two options for them, but I limit the negative option, the one that I don't want them to do, and I make it easy for them to make the correct choice. And we know dogs do what's most valuable, so if I help them to continually make the correct choice, I can start to have them rehearse that over and over, and that then becomes what they do. They make that choice more and more. We reward things, dogs do what's most valuable, and that choice becomes the habit. Kalani has also all of a sudden discovered that my shoes are kind of interesting because they smell like a lot of dogs, and that's a good thing. We're going to use that nose to help her make some decisions. I've got a little bit of kibble here, and I'm going to show her that I have it. Now, because I have this treat here, she really, really wants it. And if I were to hold my hand open, you can see she's pawing at it. She really wants to get the treats. But I'm going to teach her that the only way she gets these treats is to pay a little bit more attention to me and making a choice to kind of ignore them. You've heard us talk about rule outs in other videos, and this is what we're going to do, but it's going to be a little bit more specific than just ignoring the treat. So I've got my leash here. I've got some food ready to go. I'm going to hold this food a little bit further up to make it a little bit easier for her. Yes. Good. So I moved it away from her to make it easier. Okay, if I put it right here, her mind is totally on the treat. But if I move it a little bit further out, she says, okay, my job is just to hold position. Oh, well, it helps if you chew there, kid. Now, I'm going to try this again. I don't want her getting up. I want her sitting still. I'm going to move the food away and see if she makes a choice. Now, she's trying to paw at my hand to get this. And you may find a lot of your dogs do that as well. I want her to be a little bit more mannerly, so I'm just going to move that food a little bit further away. Good. Yes, good girlie. Good. So she's starting to realize that the only way she gets the food is by sitting. Yes. Now I'm holding it far enough away that she can't think about jumping on it. So I'm going to make it a little bit harder. But I got to make it harder in a manner where it still helps promote the right choice. Good girl. So I'm just going to lower that hand a little bit. Yes. Good girl. What a good puppers. Amazing. Holy cow. I'll lower it again. Whoops. So I lowered it that time. She saw it, decided to go for it. I'm just going to close my hand. Good girlie. Excellent. Good job. Yes, good girl. Very good. So she's starting to put together that ignoring the treats is how she gets them. Okay, girl. She's trying to figure out what to do. Her little brain is going, yes, good girl, good job, hooray. So I got a little teeny eye flick from her to say, what are you doing up there? Good, I'm gonna get her back into a sit. Good, sit, please. Good girl. Good. Yes, good girl. That's what I want. Excellent. Now you notice her little brain's working. Yes, that's what I want, girlie. Good job. Excellent work. Very nice. So I got a deliberate look. Now, Kalani's a teenage dog. Okay, cool. She has some great skills, but she's also typically teenager. She's partly on your program, but also partly on her own program. And that moment she got a little distracted, her brain says, wait a minute, I don't know what we're doing over here, so I'm just gonna look away and I'm gonna do something else. In those moments, I'm just patient. I'm helping her to make the great choice. But when I get that great choice, I'm gonna yes and make sure that I reward. Again, that reward position is so important, and she's gonna learn that looking at me, yes, good girl, is actually what gets her the treats. You may have seen rule outs on all of your social media. We've seen lots of videos of dogs lying quietly with treats on their paws and ignoring those treats. That's a form of a rule out. One of the things that really makes a big difference, though, is when you start to translate that rule out into other parts of your dog's life. You may do it at home with your dog's food. Most people I see say, my dog waits perfectly until I put the food bowl down, and then they're allowed to eat. They're not dive bombing the food bowl. That's another rule out, because when you're at home and doing that, if the dog dive bombs with the bowl, we simply pick it up and we remove it out of the way. Dog learns they need to make the correct choice or the more mannerly choice before they get the food. So you're probably doing all these at home. But how can these simple rule outs help you and your dog when you're out in the world or when your dog is so overwhelmed by distractions? Well, this same application or the same process can be applied to other things and other distractions. Simply limiting their ability to get them and being rewarded for checking in with you can really make a change in their world. Now, I never expect that dogs stare at me entirely out in the world. I don't think that's reasonable. They're dogs. When I'm out with my dogs, I want them to take in the world. I want them to see a kid going by on a skateboard or watch that person walk by. I don't expect them to stare at me. But I do expect eventually, when there's something interesting to them, instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go to that because it looks really, really fun, I want my dogs to say, hey, there's a thing. What should you and I do about it? And I want them to defer to me, whether I can say, yep, you can go ahead and go see that thing, or nope, come on, buddy, we're going to go the other way. Now, this one drill is not going to solve all of your dog training issues, but if you have a young dog or an older dog that you're looking to train, check out our Puppy Essentials or Life Skills in-person and online training programs where you can work directly with McCann Dogs instructors. The link is in the description below. So how do we make this a little bit more real life? Because yeah, it's great. I'm sitting in a chair. I have her unleashed. I have treats right in front of her face, but that's not what it looks like when you go out in the real world. So how do we start to add some of those real world or bigger distractions and still teach the dog to make the same choices? Well, I'm going to give her a little bit more freedom. I'm going to set some really, really exciting stuff out. I'm going to set out a food bowl. I'm going to put some treats in here. I'm going to let her know they have them. And I'm going to put this a little bit further away. Now, this is going to vary for your dog and your dog's individual motivations. It might be a stuffed squirrel. It might be a stuffed rabbit. You might have your friends and family running back and forth. You need something that's going to catch your dog's attention. And we're just going to simply pause and wait and see what choice the dog makes. Again, as we go through this, the more she makes the great choice to look at me, the more she realizes the reward comes from me or from you with your dog. That's the choice they're going to make. So Kehlani's pretty hyped up here, and she knows that bowl is out there. So I'm really hoping she kind of struggles with this a little bit. So I've got my leash on, as always. I need to be able to take away her ability to reward herself. I've got my leash gathered up. I'm going to start real close. She sees it, and I'm just going to wait and see. Now I'm going to praise her. Good girl, good sit. But I'm not going to feed her just yet. Good girl, good sit. Yes, good girl, hooray. That was a good girl. What a good puppers. So step one, she saw that thing, wanted to go to it. Her brain said, I can't get to it, so I'm just gonna sit, but I'm still gonna stare at it longingly. And I just praised her. Good girl, good sit. When she heard my voice, she went, oh right, you're there, I forgot. And I yes, and rewarded it. Now, she is going to now start to make that decision more readily. I know, because we're at a great distance. I'm starting with this in an area where I know she's going to be right. But I also want to make it real life. Like, what does it look like if we go too close? So I'm going to move a little closer and see what happens. Here's the thing. I need to make sure I stay far enough away that she has no ability to get to that. That is not available to her. Her only choice is going to be to pay attention to me for a reward. Good. Okay. Oh, she's excited. She's excited. So a little too much. So I'm just going to back up a little bit. Yes, good girl. That's what I want. There you go, miss. That's better. What a good girl. Yes, good. Okay. Oh, you're strong. Back up a little bit. Yes, that's better. Good girl. Excellent job. Hooray. Good. Good. Okay. Good girl. Good job. Yes, that's what I want. Good. Excellent girly. Good job. Now, important thing to keep in mind here. When she is making a decent choice. Now, what I mean by that is she's not pulling to the thing anymore, but she's not looking at me. I'm praising her. I'm telling her she's a good girl, but I'm saving my yes or that marker moment, that marker word for the moment she looks at me. That's the thing that's going to tell her she's right. Okay? There's a difference between marking a behavior and praising a behavior. I'm praising her, letting her know she's on the right track, but I save my yes when everything's perfect. So right now I'm just using Kehlani's kibble, the food that she's going to eat anyway. She's a pretty food motivated dog, so that's a great currency for her. But you may find for your dog that that's not enough currency. Now, you may have to level up your game, find something a little bit more valuable. It might be the cheese, it might be those chicken hot dogs. There's lots of different things that you can use. If she was not interested in these treats at all, then I would have to change gears. Or I might have to go back to that toy and let her know that the toy is the reward in that situation. I want her to look at that food container and decide to look back at me a lot quicker than she is. She's still really focused outwardly, and this is why I haven't pushed any further. I haven't gone to something that's a little bit harder. But because her brain is working, she says, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening over there, so I'm just gonna check out your shoes for a little bit. She's avoiding a little bit, which is okay. Hey, miss, come on, hi, where's my girl? Good girl, that's better. Yes, good girl, that's better. Yes, good girl, there we go. So I'm gonna put a little bit more energy into it. Okay, good, okay. Yay, good girl. Good job. Did you chew that one again? Did you chew that one again? Did you chew that one again? Good girl. Yes, good. That's what I want. Hooray. Good girl. Okay. Yay, good girl. That's what I want. Yes, what a good puppers. Hooray. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Yes, that's my girl. Hooray. You're so cool. Good job. Okay, we're going to go a little closer and see if we can get an end on a win here. Okay. Oh, you got to chew it, miss. You got to chew it. You got to chew it. Good. Good girl. Yes, that's what I want. Good girl. Good job. Very nice. Ready? Okay. I chose with Kalani to stop at that particular distance from that particular distraction in that moment because that was a big progression. She went from pulling herself, almost choking herself on the leash 15 feet away to sitting nicely at my side about 4.5 feet away. And that to me was a really, really big progression. And each distraction and each dog are going to be a little bit more individual. Now, because she had made such great choices, 3 or 4 in a row, that was the time I said, okay, that's enough for now. If we start to push and do this too much, the dogs can start to get a little frustrated. So I like to do this for short periods of time, look for those little wins along the way, and then say, great, we're done for the day. We're gonna head off. We're gonna make something a little bit easier. I know the first comment that's gonna come up when this video gets published is, of course the dog's gonna make that choice. You're inside, there's no distractions. And that's absolutely the point. We need to spend time teaching these skills away from distractions, and then eventually the dog learns to make those choices in busier situations. So would I stay inside forever with this particular exercise? No. My next progression would be getting her right near that particular distraction and making the choice so that my leash wasn't preventing her from getting there. She was absolutely making the choice and she had the opportunities to. And my level ups would be change the distraction, have a family member run back and forth. And then I might do this out in my backyard. You know, what I want my dogs to do is, again, see a squirrel go by and say, hey, that's a cool squirrel. What should you and I do about it? Not, hey, there's a squirrel. Squirrel. And I'm going to head on out. So that's where things like your leash or your long line can really help take away the choices that we don't want the dogs to make and help direct them to make the choices that we do, which is ultimately to choose you. If you want more tips on how to get more focus from your dog in your walks, check out that video right there. On that note, I'm Instructor Steve. Happy training.